So I'm standing in the future living room of this old school that we're turning into our house, and I want to tell you about the last few months that have been a saga of figuring out how to restore and seal up these exposed brick walls.
When we bought our school and started clearing everything out, there was a lot of damaged plaster, and we were going to have to pay someone to do a bunch of repairs. Plus, when we lived in New York, we lived in some apartments with plaster walls. And while plaster is very nice, sometimes it also is a pain in the butt. So when our mason Brad was repointing a section of wall that was already exposed, he asked us, "Hey, how far do you want to go with removing and cleaning some of this plaster?" And we said, "Well, can you go all the way?" And for some of the walls, he did. Now, like with everything renovating an old building, any decision has the opportunity to become controversial. And there are folks in Camp Plaster, and there are folks in Camp Exposed Brick.
If a house or a school was built before the mid-20th century, you would never see exposed brick walls because those walls were meant to be purely structural. That interior brick was intended to be covered in plaster. And a lot of times the interior of a brick building would be laid by a masonry apprentice or someone who's learning to do the important jobs like the exterior. Now, I have no idea what was going on with our school because we actually have two different kinds of brick on the exterior. I don't know if they ran out or while they were doing construction in 1914, who knows. But in recent years, exposed brick has been having a really good run of popularity. If the Victorians could see what we think is cool these days, I bet that they would think we have some butt-naked walls. But just because something was thought of as a building supply in one era doesn't mean it's not beautiful. And I think that stuff with a story and the patina is the most beautiful because it has a story. And I'm also sure that people in the before times would have thought it's pretty bizarre to get married in a restored garment factory like we have in town, or eat breakfast in a coffee shop that used to be a hospital, or live in an old school that was a barn. So anyway, for our brick, how did we get it here? I want to go through each of the steps it took to get the look that we have today. The rich matte brick walls that are, quote, sealed so that we don't have to deal with all the dust that usually comes with exposed brick walls. Step one, like I mentioned, was taking all the plaster off of the brick. For this, Brad used a hammer drill and, oh my gosh, did it make a whale of a mess. A lot of the plaster also came off in huge chunks, especially in spots that had water damage. Once Brad got off the plaster, there was this chunky haze left on the brick. You can't really see it from far away in the videos, and it kind of looks like whitewash, which could be a cool look, but once you got up close, it looked a bit unfinished, especially when we knew that there was this gorgeous multicolored brick underneath the haze. So we tried a few things. We tried getting it off with scrubbing, a bit of water, light vinegar wash, but it didn't work. We knew that pressure washing does work because it worked in our basement, but we couldn't put hundreds of gallons of water on the upper floors. So we came back to Brad. To get the haze off the brick, the thing that ended up working the best were these wire cup brushes for the angle grinder. Because Brad has some superhuman strength, he was able to use the angle grinder and wire brush and get all the haze off our brick. And I just love watching some of the progress on these videos. Once Brad did all the hard stuff, the brick job was back in our court to figure out the next steps, which is to seal the brick with a matte leathered look and prevent it from shedding dust in perpetuity through the house. I ended up testing 8 different products, and I got deep into watching YouTube videos, reading Reddit threads, and finally I joined some old house Facebook groups and got some really helpful answers here. Okay, so let's take a look at the different fighters, the different products that I tried to use in sealing up our brick. And I use sealing with air quotes because you really shouldn't seal brick in. You want it to be able to breathe so that moisture can come in and out and you don't have problems long term of the bricks not being able to release moisture. So the products on this side, they ended up being too shiny. This one worked pretty great in sealing in the dust, but it didn't change the color at all. And I want to thank Tony in the Restoring Old Houses Facebook group for recommending Limeworks water glass. This actually was the best at kind of consolidating and allowing the brick to seal in the dust, but it didn't darken it. But they have incredible customer service, and shout out to Anthony at Limeworks for answering many questions that I asked him over chat. I was telling him, I was like, hey, this is working great on kind of sealing up the walls, but it's not darkening it. Our tile guy, Greg, He recommended this thing from Aqua Mix called Stone Enhancer. Would I be able to use them together? And he said, actually, yes. He looked at the ingredients in the product. He said, this is okay. You should apply the water glass first and then apply the Aqua Mix on top. And that's what we did.
So step 4 was brushing off all the walls and then applying the water glass. Because this is a construction site and because there are exposed brick walls, there was a lot of loose dust. So we just used a broom and some scaffolding and a horsehair handheld brush to prep all the walls. Then I used a simple low-pressure garden sprayer to apply the water glass. It was a pretty watery product, and then the sprayer was great for this whole project. After applying the water glass, I let the brick dry for a few days, and then I came back with the Aqua Mix. I used the same garden sprayer to apply the Aqua Mix, and maybe I should have gotten something different because the Aqua Mix is a lot thicker, and I had to spray on basically a line of the product and then brush it into the brick with a broom. But it worked in the end.
And here's what the brick is looking like now. I am so thankful we were able to figure out how to get it to be the matte, kind of leathered look, and the dust, it's doing pretty great. So in here you can see the kitchen, and then through here you can see what will be our entry kind of pantry area, and just really excited about how it's going. I can show you the rest of the house because we're actually getting it primed right now, and it might make some big noise in a second, but in here we've got the kids' hallway, and we've got some of the kids' tile over here. Tile guy Greg is incredible. If you're in central Indiana area and you're looking for a tile guy, definitely send me a DM. And here we go. We got the paint machine is going. There we go. Come through here. All right. There we go. And here's our bathroom. Got all the paint or the tile sealed off. Things are going. Just gonna have one more view of a different wall. Here you can actually see we got 3 more old doors. You thought I was done with doors? Not done with doors. They came from this kind of warehouse in Monrovia, Indiana. Thank you to Kyle, who sold us these doors. They actually come from a office building out of Detroit, and I believe they're bathroom doors, and they're soon to be our kid closet doors. So back to the brick, just really thankful that we got the brick to turn out how we wanted, and that all those months and months of stressing and experimenting with different things really paid off.
In other non-brick news, we also held the Schoolhouse's first cocktail party a couple weeks ago because we had some friends and family visiting for the Eclipse. Our beautiful little town, Franklin, Indiana, and our schoolhouse were dead center in the Eclipse's path of totality. So we made some spritzes and had a mini party in a construction site. And just wow, no photo or video could ever capture what the totality looked and felt like.
Wow. Could you imagine being...
Holy crap!
There it is!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's gone! It's gone!
Wait, we can look up?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Look at this guy out there too. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Up next, like I referenced earlier, Greg, the wonderful tile guy, has been super busy laying out the tile in bathrooms and on the laundry floor. It is looking so good. I also just went to S&F Marble and Granite in Indianapolis, and Saul and Adolfo showed me some really cool pieces of stone. They have a ton of remnants, and I am so excited to piece together some countertops. Tons more to come as we turn this old school into our house, and thank you, as always, for watching and following along.